This is your Tech News Briefing for Monday, June 27th. I'm Julie Chang for the Wall Street Journal, filling in for Zoe Thomas. Virtual reality is popular for games and fitness. It's also becoming more popular in senior communities. Rendever is one VR company whose platform is increasingly being used to help seniors who might be struggling. Rendever co-founder and CEO Kyle Rand says some have used the company's VR platform to travel back to childhood streets, connect with loved ones who are physically far away, and more. And he says that's helped improve their mental health. At the Wall Street Journal's recent Future of Everything Festival, Rand spoke with WSJ personal tech columnist Nicole Nguyen about how virtual reality can and is being used to combat loneliness in senior living communities. Here are highlights from their conversation.
So when people who are skeptical of virtual reality think of VR, I think they think of a WALL-E-style future where you're floating around holding your giant soda with a screen strapped to your face, completely ignorant of everything that's happening around you. But your company is working on a very different take than that. It's a virtual reality-enabled therapy and wellness platform, I believe. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that therapy entails and the role VR has in it?
Yeah, it's such an interesting perspective. A lot of people, we're about to turn 6 years old, our company Rendever. So 6 years ago, VR was still very new. And when we came up with this idea of using it for older adults to empower a better lifestyle for them, a lot of people thought, oh, this is just escapism, right? The ability to put on a headset and just be anywhere else other than a senior living community. But really what we're doing is we've designed this platform that enables people to put these headsets on and they can go anywhere in the world. So they can stand on top of the Eiffel Tower. They can go on a hot air balloon ride. They can go back to their childhood home and stand in front of their childhood home again for the first time. And they do it together. So really it's a social experience platform where people are able to spend time doing real world things, exploring the world, and then building relationships as a result of it.
How are you structuring these platforms? What if you don't want to visit your childhood home, for example? How do you know what content to serve?
Interestingly enough, we've done demos for the past 6 years, like every single age group. If I tell someone they can go anywhere in the world, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, bring me home, especially if they're very far away from home. And so it's a really meaningful location. But our approach to content creation and experience delivery is if they're like, when you think about the aging process, what happens day in and day out is your world starts to shrink, right? And what we can do in VR is we can open up those doors, and the diversity of the aging demographic is so wide that somebody might want to go to Paris, somebody might want to go to Israel, somebody might want to spend, like my grandfather. When I first did a session with him, we went on a hot air balloon ride, we went swimming with dolphins, we went on a roller coaster ride, and then I brought him back to his home in Long Island. He still lives in Long Island, so it was like, 20 miles away. And then we spent 2 hours. We were up until 2 in the morning exploring the streets of the areas that he grew up in. And like that's what he leaned into because that's what's so significant for him. And for this demographic, when you create a connection to the place that you're visiting, the experience that you're having, it opens up the floor for communication that's really positive that oftentimes can be really hard to find.
Before the session, we were talking about your new puppy, you're a new dog dad, but also that you have a puppy agenda as it relates to content that's on this platform.
Yes. So one of the very first things that we launched was a room full of golden retriever puppies and golden lab puppies. And I actually have an amazing story. So that same community that first started, we were doing this demonstration before we started working with them. And we had like this whole group of residents. Everybody was experiencing VR. They were having a great time. And then about halfway in, they wheeled in a woman. And her name was Mickey. And her caregiver pulled me aside and was like, I need you to understand her story. And he was like, this woman was one of the first people to move into our community. She's been with us since day one, and she always has had a smile on her face. Like, she knows everyone by name. She's the first person to say hi to you in the morning. She's just like this beacon of light in our community. And then 2 months prior to that, she had been diagnosed with early stage dementia, and she was moved upstairs into the locked memory care floor. And what happened was she had her first symptom was expressive aphasia, so she actually lost her ability to communicate. So she went from being this outgoing, boisterous woman to all of a sudden not being able to talk. And so what we did was we brought her into that room full of puppies. And it was like this, like a light switch turned right back on. This huge smile comes across her face. She like started calling out to the puppies and like kissing at them and like
a virtual room
in a virtual room full of puppies, very important. And just got so engaged and so excited. And she actually was talking to the dogs. And the most amazing thing happened at the end of the session. She took that headset off And she kept talking. And she actually followed me and my co-founder out of the building, holding onto my co-founder's arm. And she was talking about how we needed to use this technology for children and to use it within school systems because it would be amazing to learn through VR. And if you think about that, what happened was after just a 30-minute session in VR, she went from 3 months of not talking at all to pitching us business ideas.
So content aside, there's a lot that needs to be improved in the hardware itself. You use a third-party virtual reality headset, correct?
Correct.
Things like battery life and the weight of the headset, and especially when it comes to accessibility. I have a left eye that's much worse than my right eye, so when I use VR, I feel nauseous, I can't wear it for a long time, and I imagine that a lot of your audience is visually impaired or has some other sort of a similar need. How are you working around that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we're really just starting to learn about the implications for visual impairments. I think if it's laterally different, that's something we haven't seen or tested yet. But one of the most interesting things we've seen is people with glaucoma and with macular degeneration, VR is actually one of their favorite things, and the research isn't there yet. It's easy to guess that the reason they're able to actually see in VR is because the screen is so close, and so their fovea really widens. But I think we're really, as we look to the future, the hardware has really done amazing things in the past couple of years. There's a lot of places to go. There's a lot of research to be done to understand how it works with a variety of different conditions.
If the audience has questions, feel free to raise your hands and ask.
Hi. Is the content, is it CG-based or video-based?
So it's a combination, honestly. It's a combination of video-based experiences, honestly, photo-based experiences like 360 photos, and fully rendered application environments. And interestingly, a lot of people think that 360 videos are where most people would lean in, but we have analytics that show exactly what people are doing, and we see that the highest adoption, the largest amount of time spent in VR is actually on 360 imagery, where people are able to be there and just spend a lot of time there. And I think that there's a lot that we could talk about there, but I think one of the big reasons is that if you're in a 360 video experience, you are limited to the constraints of what is in that video, versus if you're in a still environment, you get to spend a lot of time just exploring the environment, looking and talking about the things that are happening, and it creates so much opportunity for a conversation to happen in those experiences.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
And that's it for today's Tech News Briefing. If you want to listen to the full talk, check out the link in our show notes. And as always, for more tech stories, you can go to our website, WSJ.com. I'm Julie Chang for the Wall Street Journal. Thanks for listening.